Welcome to the See or Not to See, the show where we try to answer that very question, and we are not attentive today at all.
Forgive us, there's no lights on the camera, so it's not that we suck at all. We're actually very good at our jobs.
It's just our floor director.
Exactly, she's awful. Probably stoned.
Anyway, we actually have a very exciting show. We have new movies that are still in theaters.
Which means that we could actually be saving you money. So this show was living out to its purpose. You're welcome.
Very important. Also, we have a DVD giveaway tonight, which I'm also excited about. We are going to be giving away the DVD of Sweeney Todd, a Broadway musical starring Johnny Depp. So all the ladies will want it.
Oh, yeah. And the people who are just really into violent musicals.
There you go. So just stay tuned, and we'll give you details on that at the end of the show. The rating system?
Oh, yeah. For our dedicated YouTube viewers, the way that our rating system works here is based on William Shatner's. It's a positive 1 to 5, negative 1 to 5 system. Negative 5 being the worst, positive 5 being the best. William Shakespeare, that's the positive 5. If it gets 1, it's worth renting. If it gets 5, then go out and buy it. And William Shatner's is the opposite end, of course. Negative 1, don't really bother with it. Negative 5, burn it. Destroy it.
Send it to the moon.
It's worse than Mario Brothers.
And we have had a few.
Yeah, we have. So what movies are we doing tonight?
Well, we got 10,000 BC up first.
Nice.
We got The Bank Job, The Bucket List, and
Vantage Point. Yes.
So let's get things rolling with 10,000 BC. I personally enjoyed it thoroughly. I want to hear your thoughts, though.
Okay.
This was over spring break. So.
I realize that my tastes are going to be different than a few people, but to me, this was one of the greatest movies that I've seen this year. And
I like this year.
well, this year, not the greatest movie ever, but the greatest movie this year. It's directed by Roland Emmerich, and he's actually from Germany. He's directed a few other films, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It stars, let's see, I made some notes here just because it was that great of a movie. I actually had to. I was when I watched it. And I kind of wasn't paying her any attention, man. It's such a great movie. All I wanted to do was just go out and kill a woolly mammoth. It was awesome.
I'm sure she appreciated it thoroughly.
She should. I bought the popcorn. Anyways, it stars Stephen Strait as Delenn, the protagonist, and Camilla Bell as Evelyn. So I'm going to go ahead and take my notes here, if you don't mind. Let's see.
Okay.
First of all, it's a great epic movie. It really is. Emmerich has a talent for kind of tapping into what's popular at the time. Well, I don't want to give away too much about the films that he directed in the past, but he's got a tradition for doing that, and he's just got some really immersive films. And which camera are we on now? All the lights are out. Okay.
Over there or over there?
Okay,
there.
I'm going to look at you because you're jumping. All right.
But, you know, what you have to remember is it's fiction. It is a work of fiction. It's not supposed to be historically accurate, which I think a lot of people, including the person, my father, who I have the most respect for in the world, he went with me and he's like, oh, that didn't really happen. I was like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he was making an argument, but still the point is, it's not historically accurate. It is purely a work of fiction because, you know, that's what I think you have to remember.
And see, that's the thing is, like, there are so many posts on the forums, the IMDb forums, YouTube, all kinds of places where people are like, this isn't historically accurate. Man didn't learn to domesticate horses until 4,000 years later. Nobody freaking cares. I mean, I'm sure that they didn't have horses at the time, and I'm also sure that what seemed to be Anglo-Saxonish cavemen walked all the way, just on a hunch, to northern Africa and managed to topple an empire. Oh, and I don't think that woolly mammoths were used to build the pyramids. I don't think woolly mammoths would really handle it too well in the desert because they're woolly.
They're woolly, yes. I mean, it was just one of those things that it was a comment that I heard a couple times coming out of the theater when I was watching this, and I was like, can't you take the story for just what it is? And it's this epic romance story.
But some people have to make a scandal out of it. They're like, well, you know, Roland Emmerich is a German director, and like in Egypt, the pyramids were built by the Jews, but he says they were built by woolly mammoths because like he hates the Jews, or maybe he thinks that they're all furry and have tusks.
Or maybe he was trying to, you know, apologize. I don't
know. That's a strange way of doing it.
I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know,
you have to. Sorry for the Holocaust. Germans have built the pyramids. We would have used mammoths.
I don't think the Jews had much of a choice in how they built, but
right.
And neither did these people because they were enslaved by, you know.
Oh, that was awkward. That was really awkward. All right, let's continue.
This theocratical empire, which we are supposed to associate with the Egyptians just based on the pyramids scene that we see, and I guess the Nile is the river. So that's just, they're trying to tie it in, but we know it's not really the Egyptians, just based on some of the ways they talk, and I don't think they spoke English.
And yeah, that's true. And one other thing I'd like to point out is this movie is about revolution. It really is, and not in the communist sense. It's about the good revolutions, like the Neolithic Revolution, where people started planting their own food instead of just hunting and gathering, which was good, but it's boring. I mean, you read about it in textbooks, but nobody's really going to make a movie about it. And then it's got a revolution that's a little bit more hardcore, a little bit more American. And that's one thing I love about Emmerich. Is, I mean, granted, you know, the whole German thing, yeah, but you know what? Screw Germany, he's a great American.
It was...
I mean, he directed The Patriot, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So, I mean, yeah, he knows what Americans want. And here we've got a movie about these Democrats
with hatchets.
Well, yeah, but anyways, well, here we got a movie about these democratic people, right, who have been enslaved. And so they go to fight this theocratic society, but how do they do it? I mean, like, he kind of borrows a little bit from Apocalypto, because you've got these civilized people who have armies just going out and enslaving everybody else. And he borrows a little bit from 300. If you watch the movie, you'll see so many elements of 300, it's not even funny, particularly the final battle, which I'm not going to spoil there. But.
It was well done, though.
Oh, very well done.
And, I mean, the storyline was fantastic. I mean, I've heard at least one criticism today about the very end.
Yeah.
The reward for all this effort.
Right.
But that's, I mean, that's what, I don't know if that's really how we learned how to grow corn.
Well, yes, the North Africans taught us, and they gave us one handful, and we walked all the way back to Europe. But anyways, but if you think about it, though, like, he manages to make the story his own. He breaks away from the whole Apocalypto 300 thing, because in Apocalypto, you've got one guy who goes out there, you know, to save his people. And in 300, you've got one guy relying on his 299 bodyguards. But this guy, no, what does he do? He goes out there and he gets a kind of a coalition of the willing from all these other enslaved people who welcome him as a liberator. And then he goes in, and basically you've got the democratic, free-loving people against the desert-dwelling theocratic society. That doesn't really sound familiar, but anyways.
Another thing that I noticed was the way the worked throughout these cultures. Particularly speaking in the way of the hero, as how he was this, you know, fulfilling this prophecy of his own people, but then he goes to this other tribe who has a completely different religion, and yet he's still a prophetic figure there.
Because democracy is embraced by all religions, my friend, except the ones that we need to crush.
Right. I thought that was a cool element. And then you have this other society which is dominated by their religion, who their emperor deems himself a god.
Right. And he's ugly.
Going back once again to the 300 concept.
This like really tall, deformed guy who's also physically weak but thinks that he's God.
Yeah, and so you just want him to die anyway. But you have these conflicting religions, but you also have the acceptance of religion in there as well, where, you know, and race.
Right,
Think about it, you know, you have the Africans and the Anglo-Saxons getting along relatively well.
And I think that this movie makes a very contemporary point, and that is, slavery is wrong. And I think it's time that our nation address that.
Yeah, you know.
And so, I mean, I'm right on with him. I think Emmerich's doing a good thing here.
Let's start the revolution.
Right, exactly, dude.
Power to the people.
Start a civil war. We'll win. But, I mean, like, the whole plot and quasi-political agenda aside, the action, I mean, it's great.
Visually, this was possibly one of the most gorgeous movies I've seen in a long time.
And he's really got a talent for that in his other works. I mean, everybody says that he's like just a master of immersion. You see great CGI in his work. You see huge immersive sound. It's one of those things, like, every movie he puts out, you want to go see in IMAX.
I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have seen this in an IMAX theater because it would have just been blown my mind. Visually, even when at the very beginning when they're hunting the mammoths.
Especially the hunting scenes.
It was gorgeous, and you believe that they were out there with woolly mammoths, and I was like, yes. And I know you told me that you wanted to go hunt mammoths after this.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, dude. It's like right after I came out of this movie, I was just thinking, you know, like primitive violence, democracy. I was ready to go out there and hunt mammoths and invade Iran. That was it.